says it's live streaming. Yeah. I'll wait for the blue bar to go. Great. Yes. Marvelous. Okay. Time are we at? Oh, we're a little bit early. A little bit early. So yeah, but everybody, please feel free to pop into the comments, the chat, where you're from, connecting so that we can connect in with your energy fields. It's lovely to see you. I'm looking forward to this live chat, the last live of the season.
Oh.
I'll have to remember to record as well. Okay. Munich. Thank you, Regina. I was wondering if the chat was working. But thank you. Germany is in the house. Yay. Beautiful. We had a lot of people in Europe in these calls recently.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful, like Switzerland and Romania. It was great. Okay. I might just start a little bit early, a couple of minutes.
So you can see everyone. I can't. I can just see you. That's
Oh,
right.
right. Oh,
I
okay.
can't see. Yeah, I can only see you.
Oh, I don't know why that would
That's
be.
weird, isn't it?
Yeah. Can you see the chat box
I can see the chat box.
and the participants?
Debbie, hello from Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama. Lovely.
um, Regine, yeah, from Germany.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, we'll make a little start. I know we're a little bit early, but hey,
It's all
everything's
right.
in perfect timing. Right, so recording. Wonderful. So hello and welcome to season 11 of the Mundane to Magical online summit series. My name is Louise Matson, and as always, I truly am blessed to be your host. I'm really excited to share on this last live call for this season a wonderful brand new speaker, Susan Kennard. Now, I connected with Susan and her work relatively recently, and I absolutely love her energy, the frequency of joy that she holds in her field, and the work that she shares with the world is just wonderful. In many ways, the work that she shares and the messages that come through feel very similar and familiar to my own connection with spirit, and I felt an instant kinship when I connected with her. Susan is a spiritual scientist with a wealth of experience and a passion for healing and transformation. She's expanded her expertise in the field of psychology and psychotherapy, in which she's worked for over 25 years, by incorporating various energy healing modalities into her practice. Now, this unique blend of knowledge and skills has allowed her to develop her own powerful approach to helping others. Susan's focus lies in assisting individuals in clearing their trauma on all levels, and she's well versed in meta health, emphasizing the interconnectedness of the body and soul by facilitating the healing journey of the body through the soul. Susan guides her clients towards holistic well-being. Now, she's specialized in PTSD, and this has led to her working closely with veterans and those who have endured significant trauma, which I'm sure that we can all relate to in some way, shape, or form throughout our lives. Susan has a clear channel to spirit and the higher realms, and her work is known for its speed and directness and accuracy. And as a medium and channel, she collaborates with her galactic guides, incorporating channeling, toning, and light language to facilitate deep healing and heart activation, empowering individuals to manifest their desires effortlessly. Susan is the author of Awaken the Light Within Your Heart and is a sought-after speaker, appearing on numerous TV platforms. Susan also hosts her own podcast, The Spiritual Awakener, and you can find her on YouTube as she comes on with a live transmission every Friday. Driven by her unwavering belief in our innate capacity for self-healing and the ability to create a life of abundance, Susan is dedicated to helping individuals reconnect with their inner healer and align with their soul's mission. Then the topic for today's conversation is Awaken the Light Within Your Heart. As I've mentioned before, I don't have themed summits, but each speaker brings the perfect message to us at the perfect time. And Susan is a wonderful example of this, as she bookends beautifully the messages that were coming through from Spirit with me on the opening call. Susan will not only be sharing how we can awaken the light within our heart, but also how doing so connects us to our higher selves, our mission, and allows abundance to flow seamlessly to us, through us, and from us. As always, please feel free to make any comments that you desire in the chat box or the Q&A, and feel free to ask questions as we go along with this chat. Of course, I can only see the questions in the chat that are made in the Zoom, not on the YouTube live stream, but I will get to the comments that you make on the YouTube after the live event has ended. And so without further ado, it is a great honour and with great joy that I welcome you to the show, Susan.
Thank you, Louise. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, it's great to be here in this energy. Powerful day today.
Absolutely, it is a powerful day today, both in terms of the astrology, but also the Mayan time magic, as well as we enter into a Mayan wave spell of the blue night, which is all about dreaming the new earth, you know, the abundance, the joy, the love, and all the other frequencies that we want to manifest in the world. And so this is beautifully timed for
I
this.
know, right? I was just thinking that actually when I was looking at the astrology of it, I was like, this is interesting how this has turned out.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
But everything is in perfect timing,
yeah,
as always.
exactly. Mm. Always in perfect order, isn't it?
Absolutely. So, I mean, I've given a brief introduction to you and your work, but if there's anything else that you want to share about your work and how you assist other people and, you know, the messages that come through you before we go into the topic for today, then please feel free to introduce
Mm.
yourself more fully.
I think what's coming up recently, really strongly, we're going to talk about the three pillars of abundance, of course, but the ascension pathway. You know how important it is for us now to be the frequency match to the new earth, which you were talking about, and how by really aligning to why we're truly here, understanding that aspect of why we're truly here, that allows us to be in alignment with this new earth that we're creating.
Mm.
And definitely, you know, the recording it on this day, going live on this day and this weekend, you know, it's really about a 14-year astrological aspect. And so, you know, it's not just necessarily we'll see big changes. We will, and there have been, you know, in my community, people have been saying big surprises have happened and all sorts of things, which is the Uranus aspect. But, you know, actually over the next 14 years, we're actually going to see, you know, incredible expansion with our ascension pathway.
Mm.
And one of the beings that, you know, we talked about this before ages ago when you booked me in, the Galactic Council that work with me now are the Rainbow Galactics, and they weren't working with me then, and they're just quite new. So I think they come in called the Rainbow Galactics because of the ascension frequency of the full spectrum of light. So it's possible they'll pop in and have a chat with us later. Let's just see. We'll hold the door open. I think I saw them kind of hovering in the background, you know, ready to kind of put their little bit in. But just to say that if you haven't met me before, then I'm very grounded. I'm very down to earth. It is what it is with me. I'm not too woo woo in the sense, you know, I'm very very grounded in my science background, and yet I am a channel, and I see dead people. Not that they're dead, but I do see them, and I see clairvoyantly, clairaudiently. I hear, and you know, I get a sense of um, timeline shifts, and I get to see in the body. So there are those few bits there that kind of expanding out. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
and that's beautiful. And it's beautiful that, you know, when we do, as you say, we're going to, you know,
Mm.
connecting to the heart, awakening the
Mm,
light within our heart. But when we do that, we find our own perfect way of working with the energies and the frequencies that we
yeah,
are, and
exactly.
our own uniqueness. And that was the magic, that spirit brought through on my transmission at the beginning of the summit. We all have a unique magic, and
Yes.
I'm clairsentient, and I'm
Mm,
claircognizant, and I only allowed the clairvoyance and the clairaudience to come through much later.
yeah,
But we will have our own flow, we'll have our own
exactly.
strengths, and
Yeah.
it's allowing that to be.
Yeah, exactly. And it's to be is like that's a really, really good way to say it because quite often we have an attachment, to outcome. Debbie, who's on today, actually, she's here and she's acknowledged the Debbie that she is, which is lovely. And we had a conversation literally about it today about, the attachment to needing to know.
Mm.
And when we're in the B, we don't have an attachment to needing to know, and
Yeah,
we'll definitely talk about that
yeah.
today. Mm.
So the title is Awaken the Light Within Your Heart.
Mm.
So I mean, for those, and I'm imagining that a lot of the audience that do connect into this have an awareness of what that is and what we're
Yeah,
talking about. But just for,
yeah.
you know, just to kind of frame it, what do we mean by that?
That's the title of my book, of course, Awaken the Light Within Your Heart. So essentially, it's about the light that we are. So if we're thinking about who we truly are, we quite often know that we're soul having a human experience. But actually, to embody that light and actually truly live that light is the awakening of that light within your heart. So, coming from a place of heart centered, so as you operate throughout your life, there's a heart center which is the remembering who you are.
Mm.
So essentially, as you remember who you are in a visceral embodied way, then you are love itself. So awakening that light that you are within your heart, of course, is the combination of the love out to the world. And it's difficult. Love isn't really the right word because we have our perception of what love is. We might love a child, we might love an animal, we might love another person, but what Spirit's really talking about here is that source is love. So it's not the love of an animal. It is, but it's not the love of an animal or a child or a person or yourself. It's love is the frequency of
Mm.
the light that we are. And the physicality that we hold that light in is just a jacket, really.
Mm.
Um, yeah, just a jacket to hold that love. And I honestly think that our journey is that we come in to forget. We forget when we come in, right? And then we spend the whole rest of our life trying to remember,
Yeah.
right? Oh, that's who we are. Oh, right, okay. So as we go through our life, and I think it's massively speeding up. And I think that, that's why I mentioned about the ascension pathway, because it's speeding up to a point where um, we don't have to necessarily sit in hours of meditation like we used to. We actually, another thing I was talking to Debbie about today, we actually only need to, and perhaps we'll do a bit of that, like just for a few moments, when you feel it's the right time to do that. But just to actually experience being embodied in our higher self and our light is
Mm.
takes a moment.
Yeah.
It takes a moment. It doesn't have to be a long journey that it used to be.
And this came up in one of the other conversations, and I can't recall who it was with. But again, the term ascension, it makes it sound as if we're going up and out to
Hmm.
something outside of
Yeah.
ourselves, but it's
Mm.
not. It's
Yeah.
it's really that embodiment process. It's
Yeah.
it's the acknowledgement that that is what we are, that is who we are.
Yeah.
Um, you
The
know,
heaven on earth that people talk about. So not
yeah,
that we need to go home,
yeah,
that we are home.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And allowing, and for me, it's kind of like Like you said before, that coherence between the if you like the kind of the divine aspects of ourselves with this
Mm,
kind of mundane physicality
yeah,
that we're walking around in, but
yeah,
like combining those and having a coherence between the frequencies,
yeah,
that
yeah.
each and every dimensional aspect of us kind of holds. And that's for me what embodiment is, sort of joining up all the pieces so that they're all in alignment kind of thing.
Because
And
you
I
can't be
just,
one without the other.
yeah,
Um, when I look into the field, when I do a kind of ascension pathway sessions and things, and I have a look at it, and I can see sometimes people vary in their human, and sometimes people vary in their soul self, and then we have to kind of like align it so that it's both.
mm,
Because if we're not in our human self, we're not able to receive the abundance of being human.
yeah,
And if we're not in our soul, we're always in our soul self, but if we're not actually connected to that in a way, and there's resistance in the way and blocks and all of that, then we're not able to bring in that channel that we are. So yeah, it's getting a really beautiful balance with that. Exactly what you said, like embodying all of those, like the multi-dimensional part of us,
yeah,
all aspects into the now, into the one.
absolutely.
Mm.
Tara's put an interesting question.
Ah,
Do we have different channels?
what would you mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you can explain more about what you mean, by do we have different channels? Are you meaning, because you've put Rainbow Galactics, are you
Different
meaning
different
can
beings,
we
probably.
connect into
Yeah.
different beings, or um I mean it's like we separate thoughts, etc.
I don't really understand that.
Yeah, could you
Mm.
just kind of broaden what you're actually asking in that question?
Because I'm
I
sure that'll help other people because they probably, really want to know that as well.
Yeah,
Mm.
disjointed consciousness. Well, I mean, from my perspective, from what you're asking, we are multidimensional beings, and so we will have a voice for each of those different frequencies that we are. So my what I call my small human self will have an opinion, and
Yeah.
that might rule my day, one day, and my higher self will have another perspective, that kind of eagle's perch perspective. And so in that way, it's like storing stuff on the stellar stars.
I
Yeah,
suppose the way I would explain it, and it might help a little bit. I love the way you explained it because it is like you've got that part of you, oh, I don't know, an ancient part of you, and then you've got the child part of you that triggered an ancient part of you. So I get, what what our friend Tara's saying. But if you imagine it that this is how I can kind of see it in my mind's eye, and it's the best way I can explain it, is imagine the bigger part of you was this huge ball of cotton wool. I think you have that all over the world, so that's okay. Yeah, big ball of cotton wool. And that was the bigger part of you, okay? And there's a tiny, tiny bit of that cotton wool that is here now, that is connected to all of that cotton wool. It's kind of cool, right? So imagine it like that. So the higher self, like you were saying, so the higher self is all of that embodied in. So you are in spirit as well as being here. And when you said, Louise, about the dream time, about dreaming the new earth, the golden earth,
yeah.
it is a dream. So often, channels will say, well, we're actually in spirit dreaming human,
Mm,
right? And there is a channel called Bashar. I think people might have heard of him. And he says that. He says that, you are actually in spirit dreaming the human existence, which can be a little bit, off the wall to think about. But if we just imagine with a bigger part of us is there, we bring down and embody that bigger part of us, which has been, is, and will be many different aspects, and we're bringing all that wonderful wisdom in the now. And I think that's the best way to explain embodiment is, and we're
yeah.
playing this, we're on a stage, we're playing, we can either choose to jump on the stage and get embroiled in something, or we can look from the audience and see what's happening. But it's definitely a stage where we're, enjoying ourselves and playing things out and creating and passing emotion through our heart and learning that we're not on our own, that we have our guidance and our GPS for our soul, it's our higher self, and we have all of that. And I suppose if the question for, you know, Tara is, rhetorical question is that, it, does that make sense? Like that would be different channels if you could look at it that way.
Mm.
Yeah.
And the other thing for me as well is because when I was a child and I shut everything down because I was threatened with being locked up for being mad, I didn't want to see and
Mm.
I didn't want to hear.
Yeah.
And so I made a statement very, very young in life that I didn't want to see dead people. No disrespect to
Yeah.
those that
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
passed,
Yeah.
want to communicate, and,
Yeah.
and I absolutely have a lot of respect for those people who bring those messages through. I wanted to connect in with the highest vibrational beings of divine love and light. That was the statement that I put out consciously as a
Wow.
child.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that I have grown to realize is I didn't need a name. I didn't need to know who they were.
Yeah.
It was just the energy, the frequency that I was connecting into,
Yeah.
because I refused to see and I refused to hear. But other people bring through,
Yeah.
galactics,
Yeah.
galactic councils. I know Magenta Pixie brings through the nine,
Mm.
and so it's allowing, just allowing it to
Sharing.
be
Yeah.
whatever it is, because you're going to bring through channeling. You're going to bring through in a form that is perfect for you, and it's
And
going
a
to be
match to you. So
yeah,
a
exactly.
frequency match to your blending with your frequency. Because they change all the time, like the beings will come in. Like I said, the Rainbow Galactics came in recently a few months ago, and they were there, but they weren't there, if you know what I mean. They hadn't shown themselves,
Yeah.
and they kind of change all the time. Beings change all the time depending on what we're doing. This is just my opinion, but what we're doing, who we're working with, and what's happening in our life.
Mm.
So it's just this beautiful symbiotic relationship with spirit, you
Mm.
know. So we don't really need to know who they are.
No,
Just need to
yeah.
trust.
Tara's book, We're Always Connected. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the key thing to
Yeah,
kind of take from this talk
unity.
and all of the other talks. It is who and what we are.
Yeah,
And so, I guess the importance of awakening the heart and allowing ourselves to connect in is that kind of deepening of that acknowledgement of who we are and being
sure.
able to kind of freely connect in with our higher selves.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, do you want to share more about
Pillars.
the how why it's so important to connect, and particularly at this time because everything
Mm.
is accelerating so quickly?
Yeah, I feel drawn to talk about the three pillars of abundance because it's so simple. And so, the guides gave me this simplicity probably 6 months ago. Time evades me really, but they gave it to me. And the first one is know thyself, which we spoke about a little bit earlier. So know thyself. So know that you truly are higher self within a physical being. Yeah. And the second pillar of abundance is know that you're not on your own. So
Mm.
know that you walk this path, even physically, if you don't have family, friends, animals, children, whatever, you're never on your own. Okay, that there always are your beautiful beings that are supporting you, even if you don't talk to them, you choose not to, or you choose not to ask anything, they'll always be there. And the third one is know why you're here. Now, that doesn't have to be the third pillar of abundance, doesn't have to be you're a spiritual teacher, you're a medium, you're this, you're whatever. It doesn't have to be that. It just has to be you know that you're here not just to be human,
Mm.
right? So it's I'm not just here and then I die and that's it. Yeah, that's the difference. So it's like you don't have to actually know exactly why you're here, but you need to know that there's a reason why you chose to come at this time of ascension, right? And there's a beautiful contrast going on in the world where we have some of the 3D of the old earth still living, in the sense of still alive, in the sense of the earth perceptions, and there's a lot of the new earth, alive, right? And so it's a beautiful contrast, and we get a choice. And why I think they call it three pillars of abundance is because abundance is our birthright. And I truly believe, and this is something that has been with me for a very, very long time from the guides, is that especially when I'm working with dis-ease. So, when someone is showing a deep picture of dis-ease, it's the soul is talking to the body as a barometer. So I'll just do a disclaimer. I'm sure you have one already, but I'm not a doctor and I don't claim to heal or cure. In fact, no doctors can cure either. So, we are our own holy grail, okay? And we need facilitators like you, like me, like many other people to assist. But essentially, we are our own inner healer. So our body, our beautiful body, is acting as this kind of like indicator. And so our soul is talking to us via our body. So if our body is showing a message, then it's our job to listen to it. Okay. And if our money dries up, did you hear that in the background, by the way? That's our parrots. Could you hear the
Oh
parrots?
yeah.
Yeah, so we have two parrots. We have like a menagerie of animals, and that was the macaw, the baby macaw, calling Martin because that's her call for him. So if you heard that, I do apologise. It's quite cute as well. But essentially, we basically, if our money dries up, then there's a message in that. If our body shows us a message, there's a message in that. If we are feeling that we're on our own, there's a message in that. So these three pillars of abundance allow us to say, okay, so where am I out of alignment with the truth of who I really am? Yeah, which is knowing we're a soul having a human, fun at the moment, knowing that we have guides to help us, of course, many others, ascended masters, etc., and knowing that we're here for a reason. And then we can really take responsibility for what our body shows, what our, emotions show, our inner child journeys, our look at our mirror outside of us. What is that mirror of us showing us, and where do we need to tweak it? And that is so exciting. And this time of expansion and speeding up of our life, it's about freedom. It's about living while you're here. It's about remembering who you are. It's about living in a place of trust and not needing to know the outcome, which is, from a human perspective, the hardest thing, because we always want to know. We want to know, is that going to happen? Da, da, da. What's going to happen? All of this stuff. And that's our human, right? And so coming to the place of like, okay, everything is in divine order, which is what you said, Louise, about dates and times. Everything is in divine order, and we have everything we need. And it's our responsibility to look at where that might be out of alignment to where we want to go. If we're happy where we are, if we feel completely at ease, then we don't need to strive. We don't need, it might not be in our soul's contracts to strive. It might be in our soul contract to just, be at home and look after animals, right? That might be our soul contract. No one is the same. So it's important just to remember those things, know who you are, know you're not on your own, and know that you have a reason for being here. Three pillars of abundance.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly, Tara. What's meant for us
Yeah.
won't miss us, but we can miss the doorways. We can miss the opportunities if our eyes are closed to them, and our little small human self is needing that absolute, yes, it's going to be worth doing this, or yes, this is guaranteed, because it's never going to get that, particularly. And that's my personal experience in life. You've mentioned trust. It really is all about trusting, because a lot of this is in the unseen realm at the start, you kind of have to believe it before you can see it.
That's exactly it, isn't it? And we often, especially me being my science background, I had to see it to believe it. So probably why when I had my awakening at 27-ish, I had to see. And if I hadn't have been shown clairvoyance immediately, I would never have believed it. So I think I was given, that was part of what I obviously chose to experience so that I could bring things forward. But yes, it's definitely about believing, and that's about your frequency, isn't it? So you have your frequency held in a space of trust, of peace. What happens? You get a reflection of that.
Mm.
Yeah, back to you.
Absolutely. I
Mm,
mean, the other thing is, when we consider that, that dream, we
mm,
are, a spiritual being dreaming this human experience. Um, and if you're a lucid dreamer, you can create in dreams. Well, that's where we are the creator of our own reality. So
mm,
depending on what's going on in our frequency field, not just in the physical body, but in the whole of our frequency field, that's what we're going to be drawing towards us
yeah,
as reflectors in the outer realm.
yeah,
Because, sometimes it's really hard for us to kind of see within ourselves.
mm,
And particularly on this journey, because we're not taught from childhood to do that.
definitely not.
Everything's
But
out
my
there. Look,
children are.
everything's out there.
My
Well, yeah,
children, my children have
conscious,
been reminded.
conscious parents do, but
Yeah,
the majority of
but we
us,
weren't. Yeah,
no,
we weren't.
grew up with everything's out there. The answer is
Mm,
out there. Look outside of yourself. So that, in a way, is why we create these mirrors to
mm.
kind of show us the misalignment, or where we're blocking and things like that. So yeah, it's beautiful to kind of have that greater awareness, and that even in itself gives you that awareness that, okay, there is more to me, there's more to this whole experience than what I might be perceiving in this moment.
Yeah, and also not to beat ourselves up, or if anyone is kind of feeling, well, I don't have that, I don't have abundance, I don't have that, actually one step at a time, and just to kind of look at one of those pillars, maybe like, okay, do I really feel like I'm embodied in this? Do I really trust that? Is it true to me? Or do I really trust that I have got guides? Like, people talk about them, but have I really got them? And then, what, thank you, guys, are reminding me, what lights you up? Like, what lights you up? You
Mm.
know, if it lights you up to be in the garden, be in the garden. If it lights you up, yeah, to share your message, then do that. Yeah. So I always find, like, what lights you up, what you get excited about. And if you don't get too excited about it, maybe that's a thought, you know. If it's not that exciting to you, then maybe it's time to think, what excites me? Continue doing what doesn't excite you for a while, especially if it's a job, and then just kind of like notice where you get openings to things that excite you. Hmm.
Yeah, spirit's showing me like a break in the cloud. It's,
Hmm.
you got this really dense cloud, but then the sunlight comes through, and it's just
Yeah,
that slither, just allowing yourself to connect in whatever way. But yeah,
yeah,
definitely. I went through a process when I went through a dark night of my soul, where I literally would ask myself, what does joy look like in this moment?
yeah. Wow.
And
Yeah,
I would just because within that point I'd realized that I had been playing what everybody wanted me to be, that I had no clue who I was anymore, not who I
yeah,
was. I knew what everybody wanted me to be, and I knew the reflection that I was manifesting within myself to please them.
yeah.
But I couldn't have even have told you what my favorite color was, what I enjoyed to eat, because I'd been living, my whole identity was based on what others wanted from me.
Hmm.
Um, and so I literally went, minute by minute, day by day, what does joy look like for me in this moment?
That's
Um,
really
so,
beautiful.
so if
Hmm.
you don't know, don't worry. It's,
Yeah,
that dense dark cloud that is blocking your entire vision of yourself. does break with the light of the sun, when you allow that to kind of just break through.
Just like a little chink. And
Mm.
something that I talk about sometimes is if someone says to me, well, how do you keep staying in alignment with that? And I was like, well, something you can do is when you wake up in the morning and when you go to bed at night is just put your hand or one hand on your heart and just say, I remember who I am. You know, I remember who I am, right? Because just in that remembering, actually just saying the words, I remember who I am, it just allows a part of you that does remember who you are to be awakened. Mm.
Um, Layla's put in, how does one embody that pillar of knowing you're not alone? I know it intellectually, and I find that it's one of my deepest fears. What I know to do is just to sit with the fear, even though all I want to do is escape that fear.
I feel that it might be really helpful to do just a little mini connection to embodying our higher self and just getting the feeling of that. So, is that all right? Just for maybe a
Yeah,
couple of
absolutely.
minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this might be really helpful for everybody. So let's just place our hands on our heart. So what I like to do with this is in a moment, I like to breathe in through my nose and then hold for as long as I can, and then breathe out when, of course, it feels the right time to breathe out. And let's just do that for a few moments. And in a moment, when we start, or else I can't talk at the same time. But essentially, then I want us to imagine that light in our heart, and then I'll continue with the next piece. Okay, so let's just breathe in and hold. You'll also be in a different time to me. Okay. And by just holding, you just go into the silence and the peace and the presence. And then just imagine that beautiful cotton wool, that light, and bring that light through your breath into your heart, through your crown. And just normalize your breath now, deep breathing and centralizing your breath. Bring that light all the way down. Just know that you're bringing down that remembering of your higher self into your physical body, embodying it, and just see it go throughout your arms and your hands. And if you find it easier, imagine sparkling light. It might be easier to kind of imagine that sparkle and see it run through every single part of you, every cell of your body. And just breathe normally, maybe breathe out for longer or breathe in for longer. Just play with your breath. You'll know what's perfect for you. And just maybe imagine that if you could look at yourself and you were taking a look from outside, imagine that you were this kind of light in a physical form. You can see right down to your feet that you're light and right up to your head. And then just imagine that behind you and around you, there are just so many beautiful beings, light beings, angels. Many ascended masters are actually here. But even if you can't see them, just imagine the light around you, that they are all these beautiful beings that are here to support you. And just put your hand on your heart and just say, I'm choosing to remember who I am. I'm choosing to remember that I'm not on my own. I'm choosing to remember why I'm here. And you may or may not get a sense of a message or a feeling of warmth or coolness. Let's do it one more time. I'm choosing to remember who I am. I'm choosing to remember I am guided. I'm choosing to remember why I'm here. And now what the guides are showing me is for us to imagine looking up to the stars beyond the stars, that the multi-dimensions are part of who we are, that there is no separation, that there is just the unified light field of consciousness that we're all sharing, that we are all part of. And you might like to, it's interesting what they're showing me, you might like to imagine that you're bringing that starlight into you, because you are that. And just imagine that the universe is within you, the multiverse is within you. And so that feeling may allow you to feel that the human is just holding that light. And now let's ask the question, what lights you up? So you might say, what lights me up? And just listen. And when you feel ready, no rush, you can come back. So it's just like a mini, I mean, they actually took us further than I thought they were going to do, but I never know what they want to do. But that sense was, I think, to get us to realize that there's no separation, that we are connected to all that is. Yeah.
Sorry, I've got my dogs with me, and
Oh,
they are always present when I do healing work. And when we were connecting in, one of them really wanted to join in, so he's just
my cat's next to me. She's over there. Yeah, she likes to be in the healing energy as well. Mm, yeah.
Yeah, so Layla
Hey,
saying thank you. Someone saying
mm,
beautiful. Tara saying beautiful, powerful. It's never as complicated as we think it's going to be. I think that's the one of the key things. Like you were saying before, years ago we would have to kind of sit in meditation for long periods of time, but it's really not that case anymore.
just
And
that breath, even if you just do that breath, that holding. I don't know if how you found it, but I always find like just for that second, Louise, that before I'm running a course or whatever I'm doing, I'm just like, okay, and just holding that breath, and it just kind of aligns me, reminds me in that second, energetically,
yeah,
I'm there.
it's well, I mean, Nora calls it coming into that stillness, and it is,
Mm,
that still point.
yeah.
I often see it as like an infinity loop
Oh
of
yeah.
of
Beautiful.
energy, and
Mm,
kind of, watching the flow going
yeah.
one to the other until you hit that intersection point where the two lines cross and you
Mm,
just land in that stillness. And so when I'm now, because of various different practices that I've done over the years, when I just kind of go into that place,
yeah.
if I say, drop from your head into your heart space, it's like instantly into that
Yeah.
point, that space within that's actually infinite, because
Yeah.
it holds this multi-dimensional light that we are, this unified light within us. And
Thinner as well, do you think, Louise? I think it, especially because we're in between eclipses as well. So we're in eclipse season, and the South Node eclipse was definitely what are we letting go of, and the North Node we just had in Aries was what are we bringing in. And I honestly felt like the destiny bit was the veil was a lot thinner. And
oh
I
yeah,
think more and more people. I'm starting a channeling class tomorrow. I'm running another one, and It's completely full, and people, so many people want to actually really embody, you know, the masters and the channeling and really bringing through the messages that to share with the world. And it's become, the timeline has speeded up big time, I would say. Mm.
Absolutely. I mean, I was saying at the beginning, I think it was to either Nora or Peter,
Mm.
that the actual light of the sun is completely different. It
Yeah.
looked pure white to me.
Lots of
Um,
people have said that, and
yeah.
I know I travel a lot, and I get the sun, right? Because that's who I am. I like to do that, and I remember looking at the sun. I was in Greece just recently in Crete, and I remember thinking, wow, like the healing codes from the sun were just like, I don't wear any sun cream or any sunglasses or anything, and I'm like, yeah, just give me the sun. That's lovely. Everyone's there covered up, sunglasses, hats, everything, and I'm like, no, just give it to me.
Yeah. It
Because
was
it's so
actually
healing.
it
Mm,
was one of the things that Laura Spanier years ago now, when I connected in with some of her work.
mm,
um, I used to burn. I used to literally, hide from the sun, and
mm,
I would instantly get sunstroke,
mm.
heat stroke. I would burn instantly. It was like factor 50, sunglasses, the lot. Um, and now with the work, that she was doing in releasing those
Believe.
codes that were kind of,
Hmm.
built into us, that were kind of blocking our connection to source through the
Hmm.
sunlight, which is incredibly healing and
And all
activating.
the chemicals you're putting into your skin, which is the largest organ of your body, which absorbs everything, and you're putting all this petrochemical into your skin. And also the glasses, really important point is when you wear sunglasses, what you're doing is you're stopping the message from the this beautiful healing sun. You're stopping the message going to your brain, which creates
Yeah,
the protection.
yeah,
So, you're putting them on and closing off the message. So you're more likely to burn if you've got sunglasses on than you have if you haven't.
absolutely.
Than you
Yeah.
are if you haven't. Yeah.
I mean, if we were meant to wear sunglasses, they would have been designed in the vessel. But since I've
Ah,
released all of those
yeah,
little programs, tiny tiny programs that,
yeah,
we've kind of all, well, most people have imprinted
mm,
within our fields. Suddenly, all the fear of the sun went. I don't wear sunblock, I don't wear sunglasses, I don't cover myself up.
yeah.
And I've had absolutely no problems. And I love, I go out like today I've been walking the dogs twice today, and I've gone out because it's sunny and just basked in the rays. And
The
I
Egyptians had
felt the
that. They had that off pat. The Egyptians knew. I mean, they had their temples, and their temples were open, and they used to worship the sun. So as the sun rose, they would sit and they would look directly at the sunrise, and they would do the same for the sunset. And it activated, I'm sure you know this, Louise, but activates your pineal gland, which is your light center, right? So it's possible that by putting on all of these creams, and we put on the children as well, and the babies, everything, we're stopping that message of that light being activated in the pineal, which is, I remember who I am. So, yeah, I'm not going to get into any speculation there, but it's good if we know this stuff because we can be empowered to make those choices. Mm,
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, Spirit's saying, intention is everything. So
mm,
if we, like you've said, make those statements to yourself. I remember who I fully am. I know that I am surrounded by my guides and my allies, whoever they may be.
mm,
When you're making those statements, that you're setting that intention, that is a
yeah,
statement of truth for you.
yeah,
That's what creates this break in the cloud. It creates that chink in this dense energy that's kind of built up in our fields for
yeah.
various different reasons. And that then enables you to actually connect into the energetic experience of that truth. into a kind of more physical knowing. And again, it's kind of sometimes you have to believe it to see it,
Yeah.
to actually feel
Or just give it a
it.
go.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
could just give it a go. I'm going to test my guides. Let's test my guides, right? Okay, find me a parking space. Or I'm going to ask the parking angels to find me a parking space, or I'm going to ask the the table guides in a restaurant to find me a table, or something like that, and have fun with it, because it doesn't have to be so serious,
yeah,
And I think we get quite serious, and also all the feathers. Isn't that beautiful when you see a white feather fall down in front of you when you're talking about something? You're like, oh, thank you for that. Just the
absolutely.
kind of acknowledgements, and the little acknowledgements that you're definitely not on your own, but that you have those little indications for you. Mm,
Yeah, and again, these messages, they're coming to us all the time because we are all connected all the time.
mm,
It's just whether we allow ourselves to recognize them. So,
yeah,
connecting into the light within your heart, awakening that connection and fully allowing it to be realized means that you're
yeah.
more open to see and hear the messages. And sometimes they're the funniest ways, that
Mm.
they'll come through. I was
Songs.
Songs, absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah. I was guided to watch Moana,
Oh
which
yeah.
is a
Hmm.
children's cartoon, and I'm there going, I mean, I follow whatever spirit tells me to do now. But I was like, why am I watching a kiddie cartoon? And there was one line, and I can't recall what it was now, but it just hit me. It
Yeah,
was like, oh, okay. And then I completely understood why I'd been called to watch that film.
yeah.
And another one was Nike had a just do it message.
Just do it.
They may still, I don't know. But I was asking myself a question as I was walking down the street, and three
You saw it.
billboards in a row.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Wendy, my Wendy, my assistant, she is American, and she always says you got this. And she bought me two t-shirts when I was out in San Diego, and they say we've got this, or I got this. So it's like, when I wear those, I'm like, actually I'm presenting that we've all got this. We've all got this. We absolutely do. And it's just, sometimes it does feel, when we're stuck in a cycle, or we feel that we need to know the answer, or we're worried about something, or if you're feeling unwell, and sometimes it can be tough for people to see the light, yeah, and especially the light within your heart. But when you understand, and that might be my sciencey background, but when you understand, God, I'm getting boiling hot. This is the whew, guides coming in. When you understand that you are the creator, as you say, Louise, the creator of your reality, and you know that your body is doing the best it can to talk to you and carry your soul, and you know that you've got guidance, even if you can't see them or hear them. You know that there's a little bit of you that knows you're always kind of like guided somewhere, maybe to listen to this, guided for whatever reason, and just trust that a little bit more. Then people start to open up, and the body starts to not need to show that message anymore, and it might show a different message, and you just kind of like learning to say, okay, thank you so much for showing me that. And if something happens, it's nobody else's responsibility but
Mm.
yours. It's only ever you. And I think when I first realized that many years ago, and it was like the law of attraction thing many years ago, probably 2011, 12, when we had the big kind of, awakening conversions. And it was like a light bulb moment. And I wanted to ring my ex, the father of my children, and go, oh my goodness, I get it. I get it. I get why I attracted you. Obviously, I didn't do that. But, it was that kind of light bulb moment. I was like, wow, now I get it. Of course I attracted that. Of
Mm.
course I attracted that person. And so I think that to me is such an empowering place to be. When you remember that everything is a reflection of you.
Mm.
That's great, isn't it? Because you can go, okay, that's a reflection of me. Okay, my bank account looks like this. Right. What part of me doesn't fully remember who I am? What part of me isn't living my light lit up? What part of me forgot that I am an incredible being of light? Yeah.
Mm.
That to me is like, yeah, that's what we need to do. And in the book, actually, in Awaken the Light Within Your Heart, in the third section of the book is all my inner child processes. So if you get it on Audible, it's me talking them through, because I was advised to use my voice and not an actor. So I went to a studio and recorded it professionally. And so I talk you through all the processes. Or if you buy it in book form or Kindle, whatever, it's in all different formats, then you can read it and go back over it. But basically, the processes there really help you, because they're fifth dimensional energy processes, to work with those little parts of you that didn't get what you needed, that did create that message in your bank account, or create that message in your relationships, or
Mm.
create that message in your body. So it's yeah, we all have the answers, and we absolutely can heal ourselves.
Absolutely. And the fact that we all have these different frequencies within ourselves, that little child that
Yeah.
maybe didn't receive the love that it wanted, or,
Hmm.
felt it needed in whatever moment, you've got that within you to provide it. Because there's another
Absolutely.
aspect of you that is very connected to this divine love and divine light that you
Yeah.
are, that can just radiate that light onto that aspect.
And give
Um,
compassion, Louise.
yeah.
To give, one thing is really quick, really easy, takes 1 second. Something happens, you feel an emotion, put your hands on your heart, or even if you can't do that, if you're in your office or something, just in your mind, just say, I'm so sorry you feel so sad. I'm so sorry you feel so frustrated. I'm so sorry you feel so shocked. What you do in that moment is you give that part of you compassion.
Mm.
And that's a fast track way of accessing that little part of you. Because that little part of you might not have ever had any language. There might be a baby in the womb, they might be just coming into the world, they might be, obviously the reptilian old brain doesn't have language, it's fight and flight. So just giving ourselves compassion, we don't know how old that child is. We might not know how old that child is. So in that moment, we know there's a part of us that didn't get contained emotionally. So
Mm.
it's like, I'm so sorry you feel so stuck. I'm so sorry you feel so alone. I'm so sorry you feel so afraid of the world, confused by love, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry is really helpful.
That's brilliant.
Mm.
And again, so simple, and something
Yeah.
that you can play with, and let it just grow and expand into what that is.
Yeah,
Um,
take it further obviously later, but in that moment
yeah, yeah.
it's like having just a little thing, a little tool, you know. Mm.
So I'm just aware of the time.
Mm. It's flying.
Time has flown by.
Mm.
I know Layla had put a question in the Q&A
Oh, okay.
prior to the call, which is always an option on these summits. If
Mm.
you can't make the live call, there is a form that you can ask questions of the speakers. And I always check them before I come on to the
Mm.
lives. And she was asking for help in creating fun and play. And I think that that's a
Mm.
really lovely thing for us all.
Yeah.
Particularly at this time when the external reality can look quite challenging,
Yeah.
um, depending on what your perspective is
Hmm.
and what you're tuning into. So, is there anything that the guides can offer,
Yeah.
suggest, for us all to connect in with creating fun and play?
I will ask them and I will bring them in. And but I do just want to say that, that bit of just like what lights you up is really helpful, because it's, if I need some me time, I'll run an Epsom salt bath and lock the door, no kids, no animals, and just be in my peace. That's my like, oh, lovely joy. lovely. But going for a walk by the sea is really lovely. Being with my animals is lovely. So something that lights you up. But let me just have a chat and see what they have to say. Right. So this is actually the Rainbow Galactics, and what they're saying is it's like a telepathic. I'll try and interpret it. So they're saying that, of course, you are joy itself. However, we are aware that there are parts of you that sometimes doubt that you are pure joy yourself. And we are here, part of the reason why we are here, blending with this channel and many of you there too, we work with you too, is that we are trying to blend with your energy to bring a frequency holding the full spectrum of light that we call rainbow light. However, this is not so much as a rainbow you would see in your earthly plane. This is more a frequency of iridescent light, you would call it, where there is a reflection, a true reflection within your field. This holds the frequency of unconditional love, of course, but the frequency of joy. So, and they're showing me now, they're saying, let us show you where this is held. So they want to do an activation. Okay, we'll do that. But they're showing me that the activation of light is held in the pineal gland, and they wish to bring in it's a frequency activation of joy through our pineal gland and through our whole center, if that's okay, Louise, to do that.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. So here we go. So it comes in as a tone, which I'll bring through, and then for us all to imagine, rainbow is the easiest way to imagine it, a rainbow light coming through the crown and right the way through the core and the center of us. Okay, and then I'll just see if there's anything else. So hold on. Okay, one sec. Okay, so they're saying that the resonance and the harmonics of that frequency into the pineal gland, it's kind of almost like they're showing it to me rather than telling me. So it like expands out throughout our frequency, so that our frequency holds that light of iridescent rainbow frequency of ascension. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Let me just ask if there's anything else. Yeah, okay, so they're saying that sometimes when you receive an activation like this, which is embodied into your whole self, into your cells, into your frequency, you sometimes feel a little dizzy or ungrounded. And so they're saying that this is because you are having a frequency upgrade. So just to imagine your Earth star under your feet, grounded into Mother Earth. Good. And your soul star above your head. And just feel that sense of connection and groundedness. And we are complete. Thank you. They always say we are complete afterwards.
It was funny because light language was coming through me. I was like,
I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, it's like that's what happens. They just blend it, don't they? Yeah, it's so beautiful. Yeah.
one of the things that for some reason Spirit's telling me to share is that I had the realization of a song that I think was in the 80s. and I'm trying to remember the band. It's not coming to me at the
When
minute,
did
but
it come to you, the song?
it came to me earlier today, um,
Oh, amazing.
and it's Gold.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I know it. I know it because obviously, yeah. Gold. Du-
Always believe in your
Yeah, yeah.
gold. Well,
Yeah.
when still can't remember the band's name, but when
Is
that
it
song,
Spandau Ballet?
yes,
Is
yeah,
it Spandau Ballet?
yeah.
Is that
If
right?
you're drawn to
Yeah,
listen to
yeah.
the words of Gold by Spandau Ballet,
Okay. Yeah,
because Spirit was having it running through my head, running through my head. Now, when I heard
yeah,
it in, I think it was the 80s when it was played,
yeah.
obviously it was very mainstream and you kind of took it from that level. But I was told that the frequencies in the song now
Um,
are they're kind of interwoven within the song. Now, I know we
yeah,
can talk about, the frequency of music now is a
yeah.
lower vibration than, you know, but if you feel drawn to, just connect in with the words of that song because
It's beautiful.
honestly, Spirit had it looping and looping and looping around in my head today. But I feel it really blends beautifully in with this conversation because it's all about
Mm,
remembering.
yeah,
It's about remembering who we are, and we are gold. We're
yeah,
golden. We are light. We are love.
yeah.
And it's, in whatever way you
Sun's
can.
shining. Can you see the sun's reflecting in now, like here in the UK? Can you see it reflecting?
Yeah.
Reflecting on my hair. It's golden sun, literally reflecting. That's so funny.
But I
Mm,
just thought, and that's how spirit works. It comes through in such a beautiful, quirky,
yeah.
funny way. And
Fun, which is what Layla asked for, and so that's literally what they're giving us, aren't they? There's another song that comes through to me, and it's a hymn, and it's give me joy in my heart, keep me praising. And I'm
yeah.
not religious at all, but that song comes through a lot when I'm working with people, and
Mm,
it's because it's about, as I can't remember exactly what the Rainbow Galactic said, but it was something about we are that joy,
yes.
and that's who we are, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm,
And it's something that, at this time,
mm,
regardless of what the outside world might look like, it's what we're here to remember because the minute that we remember that and remember it, embody it, allow it to be embodied within our physical field, then we're going to see that
yeah,
reflected in the outside because it's not just one way.
yeah,
The outer reality isn't just reflecting our inner landscape for us to do the work and clear and whatever. Our inner landscape gets reflected out there. So the more we can connect in with the light of the heart, and that's why for me this is so essential.
mm,
But to lighten our load, to lighten our experience of life, to connect in with abundance and joy and all those other wonderful things that we are.
mm,
It's allowing us to raise the frequency to reflect our higher frequencies out into the external landscape.
yeah. To assist in humanity, because the more, it always starts with us, doesn't it? Meaning individually. So
Yeah.
it starts individually. So become that pillar of light, or the three pillars of abundance, become that pillar of light, and then that other person is reflecting that pillar of light, and your neighbor is, and your friends are, and your animals are, and your children are, and the person who drove down the road is, and it's because the new earth, I really believe that there's a little bit of the old left, and it's like coming into this new expanded frequency, and it's not that we will jump or anything like that. It's just like a general gradual, the more we raise our frequency, the more we remember who we are, the more our life transforms and changes.
Absolutely.
Mm,
Absolutely. And it's one step at a time. And again, it doesn't have to look a certain way. It's
mm,
completely individual because you hold your own unique, magical, individuated frequencies
exactly.
of the divine love and light that we all are. And so we all have something to bring
Yeah.
to this collective table. And it's all incredible and beautiful. And the
Mm,
first step is for us to fully realize that, connect in with that, and acknowledge it, and allow that then to radiate out from us into the wider field.
And if somebody else isn't, like your neighbor isn't, or your mother isn't, or your father isn't, or your brother isn't, it doesn't matter. Just be that light
Yeah.
that you wish to see in the world,
Yeah.
and that's when it gets to the point where, and I love this saying is, I love you so much I don't care what you think.
Mm.
And that it's only me in the family that speaks light language, brings through galactic codes, is a spiritual teacher. No one else is in my family. Like, everyone else is not. So it's good in a way, because I had to step out of the spiritual closet, or else I couldn't, like, I had to be different. Like you said, you were told how you were meant to be, like brought up in a particular way. I had to step out of the spiritual closet. I never would have been on my journey otherwise. But
Absolutely.
nobody else does it in our family, you know?
No,
It's like, and so if somebody doesn't believe what you believe, that's okay. It really doesn't matter, because you are that representation for change. Be
absolutely.
the light of the change in the world. And I think that's a really, really good point for all of us. And I think the COVID experience showed us a lot of that. Showed us a lot of, well, some people choose something, other people choose something else, and actually it's about saying, well, that's fine. Everyone chooses something else, and uh, everyone can be individual in their own expression. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it really is connecting in with your own uniqueness, and not having to be something for somebody else. The spirit showed me, in many different ways that, there's no hierarchy.
Mm.
All truths can be different, but they
Yeah.
hold the same standing. They hold
Yeah.
the same energy. And it's, I came to a point in my relationship with my dad at one point, and we just agreed to disagree. I love you, I respect your truth and where you're coming from, and I respect my truth and where I'm coming from, and vice versa. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a beautiful space to be in, when we can all kind of collectively honor each other's
Accept.
uniqueness.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
and regardless of how, we're all divine beings, we're all spiritual beings having a human experience, regardless of how people are seeing themselves or how they're expressing themselves. And it's allowing yourself to see the divine light in yourself, then you can see the divine light in everybody, no matter how they may be expressing themselves.
Yeah.
I
Perfect.
just want to share that Susan is offering a free gift. If you haven't
Okay.
already connected in with that, all of the free
Mm.
gifts, the special offers, are on the free gifts page at mundanetomagicalliving.com/free gifts. I would highly recommend going and checking that out and connecting in. It's Awakening the Light Within Your Heart. It's a video course, and it's a free course to help you know how to align to your inner guidance, connect with your inner guide, and learn to love your body more, which is what this whole conversation has been about. So
Mm.
I would highly recommend connecting in with that, and just taking this step, or taking a further step into connecting in and awakening your heart. It's been an absolute joy,
Mm.
Susan, to have you on the show.
Mm.
People have loved the activations, and they've loved the conversations.
Mm.
Um, is there anything that you would like to share, or the guides would like to share, before we close this transmission?
I would like to share that I have a YouTube channel which I set up to reach those that perhaps are not in a position to work with anyone. So every week I do a pre-recorded 5-minute frequency from the guides. Sometimes it's activations, sometimes it's chambers, whatever it might be. And I just love the fact it's growing, because it means that more people are able to receive what they need to receive. So I'd love it if people would find that, and it's just my name, Susan Kennard. And let me see who would like to come in for a last little word. But yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much for inviting me. Yeah, it's been great. Okay. Hmm. Okay, it's interesting because it's actually Joshua. Mother Mary is here as well, but Joshua is stepping forward, and he's saying that we have all got a story. Gosh, we have all got a story to tell, he's saying, and we have all got a story that we hold within our hearts, including me, he says, and his story is well known. However, what we feel within our hearts about our story is our own truth and the truth that we need to share with the world, the truth of our own heart, the truth of our own story, so that we can help others feel a sense of unity and a sense of knowing of who they are. Remember that that light within you is your truth and it is your very own story of your life. And he's showing me just to let you know that he is blessing our feet. So the sense of receiving from him, from Joshua, from the Christ light, thank you, from the Christ light, so that we can all receive that. And he wants us to know that we are all worthy, more than worthy, to receive Christ like consciousness. And so
Mm.
it is.
Beautiful. Wow. Okay.
Thank
So
you.
thank you. You are worthy. You are worthy and you are glorious in your uniqueness. Just allowing yourself to connect in with that light, with that love, compassion, beauty that we each and all hold within our heart fields and can radiate out through our entire system, healing ourselves and connecting in with the abundance that is the truth of this reality, this daydream that we're all having. So thank you once again, Susan, for joining us. It's been an absolute joy to have you on the show. Your energy is beautiful. You radiate light. So thank you for sharing your energy with us all. Thank you to everybody who's joined me on this final live call. Just to say that this season has been slightly different. Normally they are 7 recordings or live calls, one after the other. But because of the situation with David Farrell and his accident, Bella's call will be in a couple of days' time. It's going to be pre-recorded, so this is the last live call. But I will get the pre-recorded interview out to those who are on the mailing list, and of course it will be available on the YouTube channel and the replay page, as all of the conversations are. So in the meantime, enjoy this space to connect in with the replays, to connect in, to absorb, to integrate the transmissions, and allow yourself to kind of play with the different transmissions and try a few of these things out. Susan shared some very easy, quick things that we can all start to be doing to connect in with our hearts and our light. So, enjoy yourselves and see what joy looks like for you in each moment. Layla said, great way to spend a Sunday morning here in the US. I will be holding space for this summit for the next week as well. So feel free to connect in. But the replays are available to you on the YouTube channel forever. So it doesn't matter when you connect in with these calls. It's a perfect time for you to receive these messages. So from me to all of those who have attended live, thank you so much. I always love the interaction, the connection with you all. And I will be signing off this live call and joining you energetically on the pre-record with Bella Alvaran, who will be talking about Mayan time and the magic of the wave spells and how we can work with that natural form of time to create the reality that we want to create in. Don't forget, we are currently, this is the first day of a 13-day magic cycle of time for us to dream the reality that we all want to live in and create and manifest in the physical. So it doesn't matter whether you know anything about mind time, whether you know anything about what Bella's going to be speaking to, just know that this 13-day window, just allow yourself to dream and dream big, connect in with the abundance, the three pillars of abundance, and just dream the life that you want to see and live in and experience fully. So much love to everybody. Thank you all so much for joining me, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care, and I shall see you all again on the next summit. Bye, everybody. I know that the live stream is still going, but
Okay.
as soon as the webinar closes, it closes for everybody, Susan. So, so
Okay.
much love to you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for joining me.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Much love. See you soon. Bye.
Take care. Bye.